Howdy, guys. My name is Attorney Walter Knott, and I'm sorry we're running a little bit late today. I'm actually super duper tired. I had that vaccine 2 days ago, and I'm still kind of getting through the whole yada yada of the second shot. I want to go through the basics before people start calling in, so let's go ahead and begin the process. This is where I've been working too long, just too long. This is what's going to be my future corporation. That's my nonprofit. For-profit, nonprofit, disability law, the future of humanity going into space to create the future freedoms and rights that we will use to basically be happy humans. All right, good. My eyes are a little bit drippy because I'm tired. I was working all day yesterday and today. Now, I want to go through some of the basic stuff. That way we can get rolling with this. The usual way this program works, I know a couple of people complained that I don't usually explain how the whole thing works. It's very simple. You call the following number. Hold on, I have to do a little pop-out chat thing so I can see what you guys are typing. You call the following number, which I'm putting in right now, and then I'll answer it. Well, I might answer it. If I'm on the phone with somebody else, I might answer it. I might not say, okay. And what happens is, after all the callers are done, once we get to around 10 p.m., the people who are watching get to pick one winner who wins $25. And that one winner who wins $25, they send me their PayPal link or their Cash App link, and then I basically send them $25. That's how the winner works, okay? Excellent. All right, so, yeah, I agree. Joe Biden does need to change the SSI rules on income. So, and he actually talked about doing that prior to basically becoming president. He was going to increase the $2,000 cap up to $4,000 or $10,000, but, you know, I'm not going to do that. Anyway, bottom line is, okay, cool. All right, good. So, excellent, guys. I'm going to go ahead and begin with some basics that you need to know about. I am just about to begin shooting the videos to teach you guys how to write your own bills that could potentially become laws. We're going to be using two bills as examples, the Social Security 2100 Act, and then there's another act as well that we're going to be using to kind of like, you know, go off of and copy things from and increase things such from that. The whole idea is that we are going to write in all of the things that we want changed in this system going forward for Social Security benefits. That means increasing the benefits by $200 for everybody. That means getting rid of the SSI marriage penalty rule. That means getting rid of the 24-month waiting rule for Medicaid, Medicare with SSDI benefits. That means getting rid of the 5-month waiting rule with SSDI benefits. We're going to put all that stuff into it. We are going to make the biggie bill that we can submit basically to Congress, and we can push it and hopefully get something through. Okay, so with that said, there's no callers right now. That's crazy. Is this on thingy? Oh, no, it's on airplane mode. Okay, never mind. All right, so what we'll do is, and I'll put the phone number there again, you guys can call in if you want. Otherwise, I'm going to call Cheyenne and basically just berate her about her YouTube channel and see where she's at. And basically, okay, quick update on this as well, spaceconstitution.com. So I rarely get any time to work on it right now. The trailer is done. The website is almost done. There's just a few little things here and there. I have to redo the whole donate function on it because there was some issue with it, and then it literally sent all the donations back to everybody. So I'm going to be actually using a different program for that. Other than that, all right, so I have some questions here. Let's go right to those. All right, so Stacy22 said, I'm wondering something, maybe you could help. If you're on disability and you're under 50, you can't draw off your husband. Well, yeah, I mean, that's, you know, you're talking about the spousal rules. So, okay, GC24 Styles, if a vocational expert states impeded the ability to do reduced light work, then how can he give light work out of the DOT book and not a sedentary? Well, it depends on how it's limited. You know what I mean? It could be limited in many ways. It could be that, you know, he can't do all the standing aspects of it. He can't do all the walking aspects of it. But remember, you're allowed to stand in or walk for basically 6 out of 8 hours. So in that regard, you know what I mean? It depends on what you're going for. It doesn't mean that the vocational expert automatically has to go into hypotheticals relevant to sedentary work. You know, sedentary work is a whole step down in capacity. You know, and let's keep it like it is. If you're under 50 years old or even more, 55, that judge is going to be looking at any potential options that are available. Okay, at 54, they say SSI to get approved is a lot easier. Well, 55 SSI is a lot easier to get approved, just like SSDI, because they use the same medical standard. to go ahead and define the grid out option. And when you can grid out at 55, then basically, the ALJ has a really easy option to go ahead and just find you disabled. That's why with some claims, when I see the claimant we're requesting an alleged onset date that's like maybe 2 or 3 months away from when they turn 55, if it's a particular judge that I know can do a non-mechanical application, which just means, you can put it a couple of months before they turn 55 and they'll still give it to them as if they were 55. I know some of the judges are okay with that. And then some of the judges are not okay at all with that. And they want it, perfect. They want it to be by the statute. You put it the day before they turn 55, yada, yada. And in that case, then I change the alleged onset date to specifically be, what it would be to line up to meet that grid out for the 55 allowance. CDRs were stopped due to COVID in March 2020. Do you know if they are still suspended? No. They're doing CDRs left and right. They're kicking people off left and right. I guess I should talk to you guys about another thing that's been happening. And, I really supported a lot of the stuff that Biden was into. Let me tell you another bad thing that's happening. Okay, so there's a section 8001 of the Public Law 100-647. It was the Technical and Miscellaneous Revenue Act that came out in 1988. It added a bunch of sections, but the bottom line, to the Social Security Act, which were 223 subsection H, and then of course 1631 subsection A8. What this whole rule did, and just listen with me on this one, it's important and it's going to make you sad. It gives the authority to the Appeals Council to go ahead and take a fully favorable decision from the ALJ. So you get your fully favorable decision from the ALJ, you're like, yeah, I'm amazing. So you get that, right? You're sitting there, you're super happy. You're like, my life is going to change. Butterflies everywhere. And then what happens is the Appeals Council reserves the right before you have your pre-effectuation interview with the local field office. They reserve the right, the Appeals Council. So the AA judges, right, the appellate judges above the administrative law judges. So the Appeals Council, AAJ judges, go ahead and can take the decision, the fully favorable, of the administrative law judge, and they can go ahead and kill it and set it up for a remand to re-review the claim. Now, they've been able to do this for a while, but they're doing them significantly more all of a sudden. So let's say that you get your fully favorable. All of a sudden, you'll get a letter that looks like, I can't show you it because it's got the name on it. It'll look kind of like this. It's got a name all over it. Bottom line is you'll get a letter. It'll say this. What this order means. Notice of Order of Appeals Council, remanding case to administrative law judge. This is a person who is already found fully favorable disabled. Here we go. What this order means. You're going to love this. We have sent your case back to the administrative law judge. In the enclosed order, we explain why we did this and what the administrative law judge will do about your claim. In addition to what we ordered the administrative law judge to do, the administrative law judge may also do anything else needed to complete the claim. So basically they're saying, no, you shouldn't have been given that much back pay, which is usually what this is about. This is usually only about back pay. The whole thing is about back pay. If you're getting too much back pay now, you could get one of these 8001 letters where the higher up judges grab it and say, no. I know you got a fully favorable, but no. Now, this would never happen in civil law. It would be illegal. This would never happen in criminal law. It would be illegal. This happens in Social Security law and should also be illegal, because once you are adjudicated, there should not be a higher source that comes and grabs it unless an appeal occurs. An appeal should be put in place, whether it's the Social Security Administration is appealing it, although they kind of look at this as them appealing it, or the claimant appealing it and sending in the appeal intention documents. So here's the crazy thing about this, just so you guys know. All right, you know how when you go to like an administrative law judge hearing and like the judge is basically opposing counsel, the judge is, it's supposed to be a non-adversarial experience. You know, like going to Disney is supposed to be a fun for the entire family experience. Both are incorrect. We know that now. We're very aware of that. But the administrative law judges, right, it's supposed to be non-adversarial. Well, then why are they asking all these tough questions? Well, and that's kind of the bottom line here, is that they basically do a hearing, and that's supposed to be the decision, and then you'd have to appeal it up. Not anymore. Now what they're doing is if you're getting a lot of back pay, they'll go ahead and say, hey, wait a minute. We want to go ahead and pull this fully favorable back and do a re-adjudication. And then you got to basically look at what their arguments are against it, etc. All right, so let's see over here. Okay, so taking 3 times a day is old, sir, you cannot work. Yeah, I mean, that's a good side effect argument. It's not a great one, though, because those aren't super duper duper strong medications. How to use the car exemption with SSI. So the SSI car exemption is that you can either have one car, which could be, for SSI purposes, like a Bentley, which you're excused to have, or you could have more than one car. And I think I always forget this one, but I think it's like the other one's got to be worth less than $4,500. Let me pull it up real quick because I haven't looked at that rule for forever. SSI car rule. Let me see. I'll tell you exactly what it is. Let me see if I can find a quick website that'll just explain it. I'd have to find, I'd have to find it. None of these websites make things simple anymore where they just put the elements there. But basically, it's an asset calculation thing where they look at, you can have more than one vehicle, but they all have to be worth less than a certain standard. Automobile exclusion policy beginning April 2005. I don't know. I'd have to look it up. Here you go. Alternate. So automobile. All right. So this is under 20 CFR 416.1218. Again, 20 CFR 416.1218. Automobile exclusion policy before April 2005. They have a more recent one beginning April 2005. Okay, so I guess they have a new one. Exclusion of one automobile regardless of value. So yeah, you can have one. You could have a rocket ship and have it not count. How to apply exclusion of one more. Okay, so here's what it reads: when a recipient or deemer owns more than one automobile, and remember, deemer is like, the person being, the deeming process. So all right, let me go into that a little bit. Well, no, all right. That's part of the 5-step sequential process. The whole deal is that they look at the people who could potentially be considered income that you attach to as part of the SSI process. So if you think about it, like if you have a husband and a wife, they look at the husband. If you have like kids, you look at the parents. And those are the people that are being essentially deemed as part of this process to figure out whether or not they have more assets and money and resources than SSI would allow. So as part of the deeming process, you have to look at these other people that are part of their life that they're attached to for the statute purposes. All right, so let's go back to this. Whereas when a recipient or demeanor own more than one automobile, apply the exclusion as follows. Apply the exclusion in the manner most advantageous to the recipient. That's good. Apply the total exclusion to the automobile with the greatest equity value in the eligible recipient or couple, or demeanors own more than one automobile used for transportation of the eligible recipient, couple, or member of the eligible recipient's or couple's household. So we apply the total exclusion to the automobile with the greatest equity value. So the automobile that's worth the most, that one gets excluded. Now we go to element C. The equity value of any automobile other than the one wholly excluded. So the equity value of any automobile other than the one wholly excluded. So all the other vehicles, not the one that we got that was worth the most, but all the other vehicles, is a resource that will be countable when an eligible recipient, couple, or demeanor owns it, and you cannot exclude it under any provisions. For example, property essential to self-support, plan to achieve self-support, or conditional benefits do not apply. That is so poorly written. Wow. Okay. But that doesn't really even answer the question. Automobile exclusion initial claims for months beginning April 2005. I don't know. I'll have to look up more and see exactly what their spiel is now. I know what the old rule was, and they have it here, policy before April 2005, which is that, basically, okay, if the CMV exceeds $4,500, count the excess as a resource unless you can exclude the automobile under some other provision. For example, property, blah, 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 blah. So you would, then basically you look at, essentially you could have up to the 4,500, but anything beyond that, it would hurt you, it would count against you. I'll have to look that up though, because this looks like there's an April cutoff, and I know the rule from way back in the day because I've been doing this from way back in the day. Let's see. Okay, I only have one other case in my. All right, let's see. I'm scrolling up, guys. I'm trying to figure out. Okay, is it true that when a person turns 62, they get Social Security? I mean, they can take Social Security, or if they're on SSI, it'll automatically push them into it if they have enough quarters of coverage. But the lady at SS told me that I wasn't allowed to get SS, so I was going to stay on SSDI. No, you stay on SSDI until you reach full retirement age. Then you get to go on SS. The idea is this. Basically, if you're on SSDI, you're going to get to 66, 67, and then they'll automatically switch you over to retirement because you'll have at that point enough quarters of coverage to go on to retirement as part of the rules and regulations and allowable. All right, Nikki Perez, the review sample of ALJ's decision. Yeah. Flora called, my God. Stacy, yeah, I know, it's not good. Another question. I'm on Social Security, small SSI check. I own house, and it's in my name, and I want to give to my child without hurting my check. So how could I do that? Can you help? Well, okay, so there's a couple of things here. You can give it to your child. But I mean, all right, Stacy, what's the point of it? Like, are you giving them this house so that they can live in it and have a place to stay? Are you giving them this house to get away from some other income resource counting requirement issue? Do you only have one house? Do you have multiple houses? Like, give me a little background here, because, when houses go from a parent to a child and the parent is on SSI, usually means they have more than one house, or they're trying to basically get around something and have their kid become the new owner. Barry Lee, and I'm 55 and was fully favorable, and now back to square one. Barry Lee, I didn't see the rest of your comments. So, that happened to me starting all over again. Yeah, I know, it's sad. Yeah, and they can do whatever they want for a couple. It's sad. And they're doing it a lot more now. They're becoming very brazen about it. Nikki Perez, isn't it random sample that gets sent to appeals, not even based on the merits of the claim? So here's the thing. That would be what they told me back in the day. I don't believe that's correct anymore. Personally, I see certain types of claims pop up for sampling. I think that there are piles that claims go into that have, all right. So this is what I think is happening. You can say to the American people that there's a random sample from all of the claims. Or you can say to the people that there's a random sample from claims. And the difference is that you can set up pre-designed, right, little groupings. And in those little groupings, those claims will go. So, we have a bucket for the people who are 45 to 50, a bucket for people who are 50 to 55, a bucket for people who are 55 to 60, a bucket for people who fall into this musculoskeletal-based listing, a bucket for people who fall into this 12.06 anxiety, listing. And you have these little buckets. And that from those buckets, they do random pulling. And that is still considered randomized pulling. So, remember, there's attorneys and the government use words, and I think that's what they do. They create little pockets. And the reason I say that is an administrative law judge I was watching one time gave a speech at one of the county bar associations, and he was explaining what they're starting to do now is create these bins, and that was his word, bins, that the claims are going into, and they're being organized based upon that categorization. So, yeah. Porsche Life 007, what is Cheyenne's YouTube link? Rather stare at her. Thanks so much. I don't know. I'm sure she'll put it up. Nikki Perez, Barry Lee, what do you mean back to square one? He's probably my attorney's law firm, only one other case in my amends. David, what if Fed court shoots back to ALJ? They find in your favor. Could the appeals council still overturn? Yes, they could still overturn using the 8001. Yeah, I can't believe it too. I don't think it's fair, but they can. Well, back to ALJ, it can then be denied even after fully favorable. My case is pending again with the ALJ. Yeah, so basically they can do that. They don't do it lots and lots. It's like, one every 1,000 claims, I'll get one of those. But the weird thing is I'm getting more of them than I ever used to. And let's be honest, guys, there's a bigger problem going on with the Social Security Administration, which is the largest agency. They were supposed to, okay, they all have, there's these little well, massive trust funds, right? There's a couple, no, there's more than a couple, but there's trust funds. And these trust funds, one was going to go ahead and basically, whatchamacallit, was going to go ahead and run out next year. And then, the biggies were, 2030s, 2035, 2036, they were going to run out. Well, now with COVID, this is the first year that the amount of money that was basically supposed to be paid in was not enough to cover everybody that's already on it. It's the first year ever that's happened in history. So the problem is we have super funds that are not making enough from the people, from this giant triangle of people pay in to pay for people that are becoming retired. And so it's a big Ponzi scheme. That is the Social Security Administration's, retirement, disability. That's how they fund it. So the bottom line is, here's the problem. Because those super funds, and this is the first year that they're not actually making enough, they're looking at what legislation they can use to go ahead and supplement basically the super funds, which is why you're hearing Biden talk about, hey, we're going to try and get another 1.5 trillion out of rich people. And then, we start out as like, super poor and then billionaires, and the billionaires are going to get taxed more. And then all of a sudden now we're talking about most millionaires, not just billionaires, but most millionaires. So, and that's the reality, is that most bottom line, like most people that have $1 million, they're not going to fall into it, but people who are making more than, it's just one of those things where it's just going to slowly creep down to taxing everybody more. And the problem with taxing everybody more is that it puts more of a weight on the system. And we actually, as a country, have a very high tax rate compared to a lot of big countries that are out there. If you look at the percentage, we're paying way too much tax, unfortunately. And as a result of that, the problem is we keep seeing corporations leave this country, which just kills it, because corporations pay lots and lots and lots of taxes, even though some of them get so big that they can go ahead and funnel funds, usually to Ireland and then to the islands, to go ahead and get out of tax situations. But the problem is we're running out of people to heavily tax. So, and I don't want to use this as a big example, but here's the bottom line. So let's look at New York City. New York City, right, used to have stores, nice stores, like very fancy stores, lining the streets, lining the Times Squares, all that stuff. They used to have tons and tons of stores. Now they're all shuttered. They're closed. Some of them will never come back, and that's very sad. And this is not a political thing. This is just it's what happened in New York City because of the whole COVID situation. What this means now is that New York City does not have enough tax to be paid from all these corporations that are earning money, which means they have to rely on the people to go ahead and pay for a lot of the structural things that they use, that are special programs in New York to go ahead and pay for things. Similar to New York City, which is a little microcosm compared to the macro giant cosm of the United States, the Social Security Administration's trust funds are now, and they're looking at that. And a couple of weeks ago, and I did a video and nobody watched it for some reason. I think YouTube might have killed it a little bit, and I don't know that. But the bottom line is this. They were talking about, hey, 2036, 2035, the big super funds, the biggies should be okay. But now they're talking, hey, maybe 2024, maybe 2023, they might need more funding, which is like a massive, like, they're good, more than a decade down the line to just like, hey, a couple of years from now, they're going to run out. And that and that's the reality of this whole COVID situation, is that you had so many businesses go out of business. You had so many businesses not paying people to work, paying those, taxes, and, having all these other options and taxes and things. So all of these different little, roads and bridges and, Social Security, disability insurance, and SSI, all these trust funds, they couldn't milk the funds that they normally do from the businesses and the people, which as a result is going to cause a catastrophic failure unless they massively tax people. And that's the sad thing about it. That's why you're seeing, like, this is not a political thing, but that's why you're seeing these massive taxes in some states like New York and California and stuff like that. And then you're seeing a lot of companies moving out of them because it's just cheaper to do the same thing somewhere else. And if they get to keep more money, they get to enrich their employees more and their employers more. And to be fair, not to go too far off topic, the only purpose of a corporation in the eyes of the law is, unless it's a nonprofit, but it is to enrich its creator or whoever is the owner slash president slash CEO or yada yada at that time. So, all right, so let's keep going through here. They say, wait, where's that phone? Did the phone? Okay, no, we're okay. Okay, cool. All right, so let's look at this real quick. They say people, so Dennis Pedretti said, they say people cannot get married on SSI. Please get rid of income limitations. So that's actually not, and so they can get married, but they take both big checks and then they give both parties a much smaller check. So you're going from like, $1,400 to like, I think it's like around $1,100. Hold on, I'll look it up real quick. SSI marriage penalty amount. I'll tell you the exact amount. So here we go. And there's a couple of things too. And what you're talking about is the $2,000 only gets boosted up to essentially $3,000. God, these websites are terrible nowadays. Like when I try to look up something really simple, really quick, it's always like, you got to read through 15 paragraphs to get to the information. Let's see, SSI marriage amount. Let's just try that as a search term. Let's see what we got here. This is crazy. Like this is literally like this should be the easiest thing to look up, but it's just paragraphs upon paragraphs of information that's not even relevant. This is my problem with a lot of the new websites. All right, so basically, guys, just remember it should be around $1,400, but then they reduce it down to around like $1,100, $1,200 that both parties receive, and they also can't have $2,000 total. They can only have up to $3,000 total, which is ridiculous. When a married person has assets or income or whatever, they should be allowed to have $10,000 plus or even more than that. As an impoverished person, $2,000 is nothing. That literally buys you nothing. Today, back in the 50 years ago, that bought you something. Nowadays, it buys you nothing. All right, so let's see. Miss Pammy Gifter. Okay, so I will let you know if I get approved by DDS. They moved my age to 50, and I have CE for mental health. I'm hoping to grit out. Good. Matthew's journey. My wife just passed on the 9th, and we were applying for disability for her. Do I get survivor's benefits for her? She was only 45, or do I have to wait until I'm 60? Well, I mean, if you're looking to tap into that, then basically you'd have to achieve your retirement and then tap in to see if her retirement would be more than your retirement. Unless you were disabled, then you could potentially get it at 50 and tap into it then. But I'm sorry for your wife's loss. And if you're applying for a disability for her, you might still be able to, on her behalf, collect for SSDI benefits. I think you can some of the back pay. I know SSI you can't because she paid into the system and everything. All right, let's check this out. Come up with a good reason. Absolutely, it's your representation. You can't do it again. Communication was non-existent. Gotcha. Let's see. And now Wall Street has moved to Puerto Rico and Miami, to whom is New York City going to tax? Well, pinch runner, that is true. As you know, unfortunately, in okay. I didn't lose you. I thought I lost you guys there. Okay, cool. All right, so yeah, as you know, the house prices are going way up, which means that basically, unfortunately, people can't afford houses like they used to, and that's because a lot of the people from states that are super taxing and have been very, very restrictive, such as New York, such as New Jersey, they're all moving down here at this point. So yeah, Puerto Rico somewhat, but yeah, mostly Florida they're moving to. Okay, Nikki Perez, feeling better. Okay, so Stacy 22, because my husband passed 2017, he had house 2 and is going to me, and I can't have 2 in my name without losing my check because they will count 2. Yeah, so then in that case, you can go ahead and transfer. When it sells, they might not give you So the issue, Stacy, that you're going to run into is that when the house sells, you will have some sort of income there, and your job is to immediately transfer ownership over to the son. And your job is to basically, then you might take a hit for a month, because you have well, no, you're just giving it to him, right? So you're just transferring ownership. You might get hit with a month as a resource penalty, but for the most part, you should be able to do that. They might try to remove your benefits for 1 month, so just be aware of that. Oh, I'm getting a text real quick. Okay, so let's see. So did Biden remove the 5-month waiting period? No, I haven't seen any statutes yet come through that he's going to. Hey, Walter, what do you think SS thinks about spinal stimulator to help control pain as far as CDRs go? So they don't tend to like spinal stimulators or think that they are, as severe of a situation as you might think. I've had a lot of claimants with spinal stims, a lot of claimants with failed spinal stims, where the electrical system is shocking the person and stuff like that. That's more common than you think. I have not had good luck with spinal stim claims, to go ahead and produce and say that basically, this person needs this to be able to survive and it causes all these other issues and yada yada. Because remember, the whole point of a spinal stimulator is to go ahead and make you more capable of going back to work. And if you have that in your body, then the expectation is that you're able to go ahead and do some sort of work because it's fixed you for, to some degree. But no, I haven't done well with them. And in fact, I don't think the new listings that Biden's through, Commissioner Saul, I don't think the new listings are going to help that situation either, which is, pretty much where, let's be fair here, all the new musculoskeletal based listings were changed on 4/2/21. So, that's going to be tough as well. All right, my son, so he have to, Stacey, I'm not sure what you're saying there. For a couple of minutes, thank you. Okay, I should say it again and again, just from upside down. Okay, I'm just a bit tired and aching and tired like Mr. Whiny ass over here. Yeah, guys, when I got that second vaccine shot, just so you know, I woke up in the middle of the night and I was like, go to the hospital or wake up and go to an office, go to an hospital or take a bunch of, over-the-counter medication, just push myself. And I chose option 2, which made me basically fall asleep for half the day on Wednesday out of nowhere. But the bottom line is, I'm up and kicking on Thursday. I know my eyes are watering, but a lot of it's due to being tired. Okay, so DI1KAR, I've been binge watching your videos and appreciate everything you are doing, and I've done helping people get what they deserve. Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate it. Trying to help people out, get them on the right track. Okay, let me keep scrolling real quick. Okay, so pinch runner, I'm not sure what the question was about SSI or SSDI. Give me a little refresher at the bottom. Sherry Ross, I went to the doctor for disability and he was so nice. I couldn't even blow for the breath test. I started crying. He was so nice about it. And he said, don't worry. So you were doing an FEV test for COPD analysis, or it could be another respiratory-based limitation. That sounds good, but remember, those doctors don't decide whether or not you're disabled. Those CDR MEs, or rather those CEMEs, consultative examination medical experts, they don't actually decide whether or not you are disabled. So that doctor could have written down that you were not giving it your best effort and that you're being disingenuous. Like, that could swing the other way. I've seen that. Okay, pinch runner. My friend wants to know, what are the chances of a female with fibromyalgia at age 58 and a half getting reviewed at this point? Fibro claims nobody really takes seriously. Like, fibro's claims are kind of like a chiropractor saying that they're like a full-fledged doctor. You know what I mean? They are, but it's like, but at 58 years old, so here's what happens. I see them sometimes at 58 years old, but when you hit 59, they don't want to waste the money or the time on it. They just don't. Because when you hit 59, you're into the non-mechanical application for element basically 5, which means that they're not really curious whether or not you can do other jobs in the national economy. They're just curious of whether or not you can do the past jobs that you did. So when you hit that 59 age and you're looking at a non-mechanical application option, they don't want to spend the money, they don't want to spend the time to try and basically figure out whether or not you're still disabled. Now, with that said, everything is going down the chute. Everything's getting really, really hard all of a sudden to get people through disability benefits, even harder than it was before. So what I would say to that is just be aware, if all of a sudden you're getting a CDR at 58 or 59 or whatever, that's how things are going right now. They're trying to kick a lot of people off this system. They're trying to basically rebalance and reset it. So, that's what I'm noticing. I do not know if you've addressed it yet, but the new listing changes for musculoskeletal were changed on April 2nd, which I think would negatively affect initial applicants. Thank you. Yeah, that's what we were just talking about. So Commissioner Saul, so they were in place for a couple of years where they were, what do we want to do? How are we going to do them? Yada, yada. And the whole idea is that the big thing is that they change basically the ambulatory requirements for limitation when it comes to use of both hands and stuff like that. And they just make it really, really tough for new claimants. They make it they make it very difficult to be found disabled, falling under your classic back problems, falling under your classic weight-bearing joint problems, your bones that are basically are they fractured, or do you have them where the bony material is creating cross sections of tissue of bone that's basically being stuck together? It just makes it tougher all the way across. One of the really weird things about this, they didn't take the 1.0 listings, like 1.02, 1.03, 1.04. They didn't just take those and basically alter them or amend them. They blew them all away. Like it starts at like 12.15 or something. Here, I'll look it up right now. Hold on, I'll pull it up real quick. Let's see, listings 1.0. I'll tell you exactly which one it starts on now. I've read them a couple times, but I don't have them memorized yet. Yeah, so instead of it being like 1.02, 1.03, now it starts at 1.15. And the categories are now disorders of the skeletal spine resulting in compromise of the nerve roots, lumbar spine stenosis resulting in compromise of the cardiac equina, reconstructive surgery or surgical arthrodesis of the major weight-bearing joints, abnormality of our major joints in any extremity, pathologic fractures due to any cause, amputation due to any cause, soft tissue injury of abnormality under continuing surgical management, non-healing or complex fracture of the femur, tibia, pelvis, or one or more of the, I'm so tired, my eyes are watery. I'm not even sure how to pronounce that, talocrural bones, non-healing or complex fracture of an upper extremity. The wording is different too now. It's like it's just a different world. In fact, I had a hearing with one of the judges like 4 or 5 days after they passed this. And he said to me, he's like, look, I have to go and read through it a couple of times and figure out what they're getting at with this and what the new rules are. And basically he was like, look, I'm going to see if this claimant normally would be a good claim, but I have to see if it fits into it. I'm sitting there going, well, good luck to the future musculoskeletal claimants. Good luck to the people with back problems, leg problems, knee problems, amputation problems. And it's not that the prior, it's not that the prior listings weren't extreme. They weren't, Like you had to have both of your ankles gone in an amputation or your entire leg and half your hip and stuff like that. I mean, some of the stuff is very similar to what it was, amputation is one of those. I'll read you an example of it. 1.20 amputation due to any cause documented by A, B, C, or D. A, amputation of both upper extremities occurring at any level at or above the wrists, carpal joints, up to and including the shoulder. So what they're talking about is like, either you don't have any hands or you don't have any arms in total. Or this is the pelvis one where basically it's like your entire leg and half your hip. Amputation of one upper extremity occurring at a level at or above the wrist. So C option is amputation of one upper extremity. So we're talking about like you have no hands, right? And amputation of one lower extremity occurring at or above the ankle. So in medical documentation, at least one of the following. And then it goes through medical needs where you have to have a walker, bilateral canes, bilateral crutches, or a wheeled and seated mobility device, which is like, walker with a seat or a rollator and use both hands. Even though, how are you going to use both hands if one of them's gone? Interesting writing on that one. A documented medical need for a one-handed handheld assisted device. So that's where it goes into the one-handed option, and the inability to use the remaining upper extremity to independently initiate, sustain, and complete work-related activities involving fine and gross movements. So that's where they're going to screw people over, in my opinion, right there. Number 3 of C. Look at the language there. The inability to use the remaining upper extremity to independently initiate, sustain, and complete work-related activities involving fine and gross movements. So let's walk this through real quick. Let's say you don't have an ankle and down, right? So you're missing a foot with the ankle, and you're missing a hand and the wrist, right? Let's say that you're missing it. You have to have that plus you can't use your other hand. And I'll read the thing again real quick. The inability to use the remaining upper extremity to independently initiate, sustain, and complete work-related activities involving fine and gross movement. So that's if you have the split, one hand and one foot. If you've got both hands or both feet or half the leg and the hip, then you don't have to do that. But if it's one hand and one foot and you can still use the other hand just fine, they can deny you. Scary stuff, guys. Like, I didn't think Biden was going to do this, but All right, let me go back to some of these questions. I'm just going to scroll to the bottom, guys, because I'm having a hard time following everybody with it. 56, so I hope I grid out. Cool. I don't see my first post explaining I receive SSDI for throat cancer, but I'm in remission. Good. However, all the radiation and chemo has caused 2 lifelong health problems. So what are they? So Tarina, just hit me up with what they are. I was diagnosed at age 49 and now I'm 51. So, look, all right, here's the thing with throat claims. Oh God, did I break it? I didn't break it. Here's the thing with throat claims. The best way to win throat claims is speech limitations, right? Special sense limitations, inability to talk. If you can't talk, then there's not a lot of jobs in the DOT that can go ahead and basically support you, with your activities and capacity to go ahead and do them in everything from very heavy all the way to the very heavy, medium, light, and sedentary. So when it comes to throat-based claims, when you have throat cancer, the best way to win those is lack of speech ability. That's the absolute best. All right, let me go. Okay, next one. For a couple, I'm definitely with you on that one. I don't think he likes Fords either. All right, Maslin J. Is it common for DDB to send an adult function report? I'm guessing you mean DDS. An adult function report when doing a CDR and only giving you 1 full business day and a weekend after receiving to get back to them at a PO box in another state. Yeah. So look, Maslin J. The names are so tough. All right. So here's the deal. Even though you got like a 10-day trigger letter and they're like, we need this back right away, that's more like a 30-day thing. As long as you call them and leave a message and you're like, hey, I need more time. Even if you don't call them, they're going to give you the 30 days. And the bottom line here is that when you get this thing that says you got 10 days of DDS to give us this document, to call us right now, to give us a hug. When they say you've got 10 days, it's a soft 10 days. That's how everybody in the industry refers to it. That's how they refer to it. That's how we refer to it. You don't have to go ahead and do it. Because here's what happens. The DDS rep will, say, hey, we need this within 10 days of the sending of the letter. But technically by law, you get 5 days on top of that. So that 10 days is actually 15 days because it's sent via letter form. Everything that's sent via letter form by the SSA, you get 5 additional days. But here's the thing. They send it out. It takes 8 days to get to you. And then all of a sudden you're like, what? This is past. I mean, it's going to be, by the time I send it, it's going to be past due. That's okay. It's a soft 10 days. You actually get 30 days. You actually even get more than that because by the time they basically circle back to it, all right, I'm going to teach you a little secret here. When the claims have attorney reps, those claims, they'll contact the attorney. The attorney goes, okay, cool, let me contact the claimant or let me do this, let me do that. Those claims have high repetition. They're a bit faster because they have a point of contact that's like literally a phone line set up to just receive that stuff. But when it's claimants that are not represented, what happens is you're on basically the long merry-go-round, right? You're on the long pinwheel. You're on the long whatever you want to call it. So by the time they get through all these other claims that are these quick little pinwheels and they get all the way back to you, that's basically why you have that extra time, significantly more time to go ahead and submit that stuff. Because they give you that time to work on it, fill it out, mail it in, P.O. Box gets it, P.O. Box goes to a group. They then have a mega scanner, which scans all those little serial, graphic IDs thingy on it. Boom, goes into the system, automatically gets sucked into your file, and you're good to go. Okay, let's see. Pinch Runner, do you know how hard it is for a small business to get laborers right now with the Federal Unemployment Act? Yeah, I know. Look, the coronavirus killed the American economy. There's no way around that. It is what it is. Like, I wish I could tell you a beautiful story about puppies, but the reality is it ain't a sack of puppies, and they're not cute. So it is what it is. We're all rebuilding. There's not a single law firm out there that has the same amount of employees as they did before COVID. I don't have the same amount of employees. Most of my front office employees don't work at the law firm anymore. And here's why. When COVID came out, they were like, people are dying all over the place, mostly referring to, obviously, those who were in, elderly homes and stuff like that. We all looked at the New York news and it was like, wow. But with my claimants and my employees had to go to a lot of different offices, which as a result meant that they were meeting with a lot of low-income and homeless people who were at that time and still are at a higher likelihood of getting the COVID virus. So what that means is that a lot of my front office people did not want to work with homeless. They did not want to interact with them. They didn't want to shake their hand or be in the same room with them. And as a result of that, basically we had to change how our whole system is going to work. So in the future, we're going to have a few little office spots that we're going to use, but mostly it's going to be online stuff because or interacting over the phone stuff, because we also kind of learned through this. Most of the stuff that we do with you guys can be over the phone. Some of you guys can't fill out forms for your life. And I see it every day. I get a form in the mail. I'm just like, what are you doing? Like, you didn't spell your name right, But the reality is most of this stuff can be done through communication like this or over the phone or yada, yada. Okay. So what if I had a stroke and can only use my right side? That's a good claim. I think it was a better claim back in the day. But basically, if you can only use your right side and you're using ambulatory devices that require both hands, like on a walker, with a seat, hopefully, then that's usually a pretty good claim because the ambulation limitation is very strong. All right, let's see. Pinch rent is extremely difficult. Yeah, okay. So it's extremely difficult as a small business owner to get laborers with the 350 additional federal unemployment weekly being doled out. People want to work for cash and under the table. Yeah, that's the reality. We would have, like, every time a stimulus check would come out, for that day or that day and the next day, we would get like one or two people calling in to be represented, like new claimants. And that's because everybody was living in this like high of like, oh, I got money, But yeah, basically the reality is that I don't know how many more stimulus checks there's going to be. In fact, what I'm seeing in the financial sector is that they don't even have the money to go ahead and potentially they can do one more. They'll probably do a fourth, but I don't think we're going to be looking at a fifth or a sixth, just as you know it. Okay, so let's see. Trump wanted to get rid of Social Security. Yeah, I think he did in part. So Trump was part of the big thing where there was one rule that we all loved as Social Security disability attorneys, and that one rule was that essentially your doctor's weight of evidence was worth more than the SSA's doctor's weight of evidence, like the seeing physician that you see there. And he got rid of that rule, which makes no sense. Like, you're going to your doctor, you're going to your doctor, you're going to your doctor. Your doctor has more weight in the evidence. But then during Trump's era, he got rid of that rule. And basically now these two are equivalent, which makes no sense. You see this guy for like 15 minutes to an hour. You've seen this person for years usually. So Trump was no fan of Social Security, which is ironic too, because his entire population, his main voting group was the middle class, which is all about Social Security through their aging and retiring. So I don't know what the deal was with him on that. He should have been pro it. He should have supported it if he wanted to get even more votes, because retired people vote, and they did not like what he was doing there or with the disability system. I hate he owns German Shepherds. I hear you. Lady B, can you work on SSDI if you're taking care of loved ones getting paid from CDPAP program? Will you get penalized? I'm not totally. So with that, you can probably, I don't know if there's an allowable. So Lady B, send me an email with that one. I can always look it up later and see what the statute says. Here's where you might run into an issue. There might be an exception where you can earn funds, because there are certain exceptions for certain types of jobs where you can earn money and it doesn't count. This may be one of them. But the bottom line is you can't earn over SGA for 2021 for SSDI. So just be aware of, 2021 SGA is for SSDI, because if you go above that, bottom line, that $1,310, the bottom line is that, if you don't have an exception, you're going to get stuck with that, and they're going to give you an overpayment. However, Biden put, as part of the things he wanted to change in his really big, and I never did like the full read through of it, because it's seeming like a bit of a disingenuous jest that he made prior to becoming president. But he had the idea that people would be able to get paid to take care of their family members, and that would be part of Social Security's system. That's a great idea, having family members take care of their family members and paying them to do it, because then it lessens the cost of Medicare to have these trained nurses and stuff like that doing the same thing at a higher cost. So that was actually a really, really good idea, but there's no statute or information on that currently. In fact, I'm going to write that into a bill by teaching you guys how to write a bill, and as part of that process, we're going to write those things that he wanted to do into it. We're going to make literally his platform for becoming president. I'm going to actually write the bill, because they talked about this act that they've got, but it was never released. They claim that was written. I've never seen it. It's not open to the public. I'm going to write my own version of it, and you guys are going to learn through that process how to write bills. So here's what I learned. I was going to send like all these things to President Biden of like, hey, if you try this, do this, do this. And so he's doing his own thing. He's got his own wheel card at this point. So, he's got a wheel card with apples, good apples, bad apples. He's doing his own thing. What I've decided is I would rather teach you guys and put a lot of money and time and investment into creating videos that step by step teach you how to write a bill, how to go ahead and modify it so that it's, looks at the statutes, has all the different things that you need, how you do your calculations in it for any financial aspects, etc. How do you create those charts for how things will change over the years, building that into it. I want to show you guys how to write a bill, and then I want to show you what to do with the bill and how to submit it to your congressman, congresswoman, how to push them at the House of Rep, at the Senate level, how to get them to put it on the table, get it to a subcommittee. I want to show you guys how to do that, because the one great weakness that I've noticed about the American people, it's not that they're armed. They're armed. They've got lots of guns and bullets. That's a good thing. That means that they have the ability to defend themselves from outside countries and maybe even their own government. It's not that they're not educated. We have tons of educated people, but it's that they're not educated in the most important things that matter to being an American. That's the number one problem I see with the general population in America. Most Americans are not educated with the most important things that they need to know about. Let me give you an example. Did you ever handle, investing in college? Did you ever handle investing in high school? Because investing should be like one of the main courses. So here's the bottom line. The number one thing Americans need to know that I want to show them is how to write a bill, how to push a bill, and how to basically get those representatives to make that bill a reality or vote them out. You don't need them. They need you. You don't need them. If they're not pushing your agenda, get rid of them. Get rid of them. All right. Let's see. Nancy Burkle. Michael Phillips. Biden and all of his people, they hate the people that he's a slave to. They hate the military. I mean, they obviously hate the military, so anything they can do to bring more hardship to them, that's what. I mean, I don't usually deal in absolutes, and that's a lot of absolutes. But, the bottom line is the military has changed in a big way from the inception of it. So it's just a different world now. They're pushing different agendas, and it is what it is. Nancy Burkle, I got divorced and it was a ward of the house. I need to get his name off of the house. I'm disabled on SSIs and no one will refinance for me. Any help will be appreciated. You can get special low income refinance. I've never done that. I have to make that video. I'm sorry about that, guys. I've been focusing so heavily on just getting the top 200 hearing questions done that I just have like a handful left to go and then they're done. But I have a script already made for what low-income SSI recipients and SSDI recipients can do to take their back pay funds or other funds that they get to do a low-income mortgage. And I just haven't gotten to it yet. And I'm sorry, because I know there's a lot of people out there that want to buy a house right now, especially since the rates are so low. So once I get done with the top 200, I'll do that video. That way you guys can know who to call, what to do, etc. Okay, let's see. Nikki Perez, I'm waiting for mine to arrive in the mail. A 1 year. I was 48 when approved. I'm nervous, but so much wrong with me. I don't know how better to say. 3 days a week to different docs. I'm not healthy. Okay, that's a good thing. 3 days a week to different doctors. That's excellent. Sharon M, I have metastatic cancer. Should I apply? I'm not working, no income. Yeah, I would apply. I would absolutely apply. You might get a beneficial or a very helpful judge that would pass you through, or a DDS rep with a kind manager that might want to pass you through. What if I'm working? How much money can I earn in a month? Basically, $1,310. David Simmons is the cutoff. You earn more than that, you're earning more than SGA, and you violate element 1 of the 5 elements of disability law. So $1,310 in 2021. If you earn close to that too, they'll do a CDR. So just remember, if you're earning like around $900, they're probably not going to do a CDR on you. But if you're earning over that 1,000 threshold, they're going to be looking at that claim. Biden's speech was good as he acted like a president. I didn't even get a chance to see the speech yet. So I've been working all day, and maybe I'll get to check it out over the weekend. Nikki Perez, do attorneys rep you on CDRs? Mine left her firm. No, attorneys do not rep claimants on CDRs. I mean, one could, but then you'd have to pay them hourly or you'd have to do a new fee agreement with them. And then they'd basically get a percentage of whatever your current monthly check is. So no, most attorneys don't do them. David Simmons, Trump wanted to get rid of it. Yeah. So Garden, that would help Cheyenne. I'm not sure what that's in reference to. Florida couple, you never know what's waiting for you. There's always something good waiting. That's true. The whole thing just went right to the bottom. All right, let me see. I'm just going to do some of the bottom ones because the whole thing just went zoop right down. Hey, Walter, follow up to the throat cancer and health issues from treatments I get. SSDI for the cancer. Mastocyzed, but I'm in remission. Will they take my SSDI away on my reviews since I'm in remission? Okay, so Tarina, here's the thing. When it comes to claims where your main impairment or the thing that they found you disabled on goes into remission, that is your opportunity to show the severity of the damage that it caused while you had it, the other impairments that you have that have become more severe, and that's your. At this point, you want to get a bunch of letters, RFC documents to show that you're still limited and unable to work. But yes, as part of CDR, if your main cancer has gone away and that was the reason that they found you disabled, they can CDR you and remove your benefits. Mark Gomez, uneducated and disabled American, incredibly grateful for your beautiful brand heart. Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Pinch runner, the powers that be don't want the masses investing from the moment that you sign your birth certificate. That's a debt certificate to the Federal Reserve, and you'll be paying them for your lifetime. That's why I did that whole video that nobody cared about. Like, nobody watched that video that I did on Martin Luther King. That Martin Luther King speech, the I Have a Dream speech, was not about African Americans. I mean, it was a little bit here and there, and I get that, but it was actually about the rights and freedoms of everybody in general, and that everybody in general should be afraid to be treated like African Americans back in the day, because the bottom line is, if the government can do it to African Americans, they can do it to anybody. That's what that whole speech was about. It wasn't about the I have a dream that, some white kids and some black kids can get together. That wasn't the whole point of that speech. The whole point of that speech was, you should be afraid because they're doing it to us and they could just as easily do it to you, which they have, because we all as Americans have less rights than Martin Luther King had when he made that speech. Imagine that. We actually have less rights and less freedoms now than he had back in the day. And then 100 years before his speech, Abraham Lincoln did the Emancipation Proclamation. It's just 100 years. Just 100 years. And he had more rights, okay, at that point than, basically Martin Luther King. And then around 100 years before that, you're looking at like the very beginning of the nation. We're a very young nation. Very young. We still got our little baby booties on. All right. Let's see. Rick Phillips, really, I just bought a house for $14,000. Wow, that's really good. It needs to be, it's a fixer-upper, I'm sure. So I can live in it and not go to a nursing home. Very, very smart. Rick Phillips, you did the right thing. I did the attorney version of that. I bought up a fixer-upper on the water. And, I've set up all these areas where I can do law firm stuff. I have an embroidery area. I have a work and build stuff area. I have a big green screen area. I'm not using it right now because I'm still working on it and fixing it up, and the lighting keeps going out because of an electrical problem. I have a sound studio area. All that stuff is going in there because in the future, we're going to have more than just me in front of this thing behind me. So, yeah. All right, Jason. Oh, no, it just skipped down. Let me see if I can scroll up. Jason McCam. Unfortunately, the military spending, bad timing, will have to be cut to help pay for Biden's agenda. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how he's going to pay for his agenda, but his agenda is huge, and it keeps changing from what he originally promised. So I'm not really sure what the whole idea is. So we'll have to see what happens going forward. I don't know. Okay, so let's see. What else? Nikki, I wish you all the best. Nancy Burkle, thank you so much. I will be waiting for the video. God bless. Good, very good. I had a hard time learning new things, Walter. No worries. I'm going to make the how to write a bill videos like really simple. Like it's going to be like step 1, like pick an agenda that you're happy with. It's going to literally, actually, the step 1 is going to be like, you're unhappy, describe the emotions that you're having, figure out why you're unhappy, and then we're going to create a bill based on that. And literally, we're going to describe the types of emotions you could have. And we're going to go through anger and happiness and joy and fear. And then we're going to use those emotions to help inspire people to go ahead and write this thing. Because writing a bill is not a small deed. But I'm going to break it up into a million little videos. And then I'll string those into bigger, like, educational videos. Okay, so let's see. Connecting the dots, teaching and deliverance ministry. I like that name. Can you go to college while getting SSDI? Yeah, you can go to college, but the moment you graduate, they're going to do a CDR on you and potentially kick you off because you're going to college with the purpose of getting educated to get a job. Love to learn how to write a bill. Excellent, Debbie Oliver. Garden, I did too. Florida Couple, I love it. Hope you all are doing well. I watched it too. How long after CE? Okay, so John Mills, how long after CE are decisions usually made? So, okay, this differs. Do you mean pre-COVID or do you mean like right? Because right now, a lot of these DDS reps, like the claims are falling into the cracks, and basically out of nowhere, we're just, a claim that's supposed to have a decision within 3 weeks to 4 weeks after a CE is taking like 2 months or 3 months. So to be fair, normally 3 weeks to 4 weeks, and that includes mailing time to your door. But nowadays it could take 2 months, it could take 3 months. It's just none of the original deadlines or layouts or timelines or whatever, none of them count anymore. None of them are valid anymore. So, all right, let's see what we got here. Nikki Perez, I watched the MLK video. It rocked. Thank you. I thought that was a great video. I thought that was an important video. I even put at the end of it the Space Constitution non-final but almost final trailer, and nobody watched it. Nobody was like, ah. So like, if you guys want to see the trailer for Space Constitution before that company officially launches as my first nonprofit that's creating the rights and freedoms of the future for people that'll be going into space and current and future countries, like saving the human race by defining what their freedoms will be in the future, like taking the American Constitution and making it the future, because the American Constitution had was not worried about or even thinking about people going into space. But that's what this is. That's what this is about. All right, so let's see. Let's see. Okay, so I see. Why do they approve SSI for $600? Ada and Cali and SSD didn't. I'm not sure. 600. Do you mean a million, or do you just mean 600 monthly? Help me out. Deiches, help me out with that one a little bit. What do you mean by that one? At what age do they stop doing CDRs? Usually 59. That's usually the cutoff. Hi, Nikki. This is okay. Good for a couple. Blah blah. Okay, so let's see. Does state assist? Okay. Does state assistance affect SSDI? Not always. Sometimes. It depends on what kind of state assistance you're getting, and it depends on which state you're in too. So, Let me give you an example of a really easy one. Medicaid is given to you, no, let's not use that one because that's an SSI example and you want an SSDI example. I don't know. Tell me your situation and I'll tell you usually how they look at it. For a couple, thank you. Thank you for watching it. Dime Daryl, me too. For I'm worried about what Walter's talking about. Yeah, I'm worried about what I'm talking about too, because like there's all these changes coming up. There's all these changes that are happening that are making this system way harder for people to get on, stay on, and live their life on disability benefits. I thought this was going to go the exact opposite way of this, but it's not. It's not. Okay, so let's see. Let's see. What's your channel? So yeah, guys, if you get a chance, please go check out Cheyenne's video. It was her first video. It got 326 views, which is incredible for a first video. Most people get like 1 view, 15 views, most, that kind of stuff. But that is just incredible, amazing, incredible. So that was a ton of views. Congratulations, Cheyenne, on your 326 views of your first video. That is incredible. Let's see. Okay, good. The 600 on top of the 1400 in Cali. So I don't know exactly what California is doing. They might have given you a state supplemental. California tends to give state supplementals because California is so ridiculously expensive to live in because the taxes and the programs are so aggressive. So they could have given you a state supplemental 600 on top of the 1400. But that's usually what they do. They give a supplemental on top of the SSI as well and stuff like that. Good, Garden. Thank you. I appreciate it. Okay, Ed Ray, I want to own a lawn business to have extra income. Will my income be taken? I have guys to do work. If you're SSI, any $2 over $85, they take away $1 from your SSI. SSDI just don't earn anywhere near the whole $1,310 of SGA. Because if you do, then they can go ahead and give you an overpayment. So yes, you can work. Now you remember, you get 9 months of free trial work period once you're found disabled. So you get 9 months where you get to earn and work and whatever. But if you want to continue to work and earn and do stuff, you're going to have to go on a ticket to work program. JS, just got fully favorable award. Why do I have to wait till June to get the money? I'm desperate. I filed over a year ago. How can I access the money immediately? Well, first, JS, you got to go ahead and do your pre-effectuation review. That's basically where the local field office calls you and checks to see if you meet the financial, non-financial, administrative, legal, requirements. Because at this point, that fully favorable, that letter that says, fully favorable, that's only a medical approval that you meet the medical requirements. That's not that you meet any of the other requirements. Let's see. Molo, California State Assistance Rep wanted the notice of exhaustion, but I still have funds in it, so a letter can't be generated. Okay, gotcha. For a couple, no one's calling off the wall. I'm shocked. Well, did you shut your phone off? Nobody's called. Nobody's called from what I'm seeing. That could be because of a problem with the phone system. So the email system wasn't working 2 days ago, and the phone system wasn't working properly. Okay, people were calling. The app wasn't open. Sorry. I'm so sorry. Oh, God. All right, look. Guys, here's the deal, too. I am still going through the vaccine thing, which my body had a really adverse reaction to. So I'm going to do I'll do 2 phone calls. I'm so sorry for the I'm a terrible person. All week, I'm like, just call me during the live. And then I'm like, there's no phone calls on this. And that's because I didn't have the app open. I'm so sorry. Major failure on behalf of my live tonight. But that's the other thing, guys. I'm not doing super great right now. I had the second vaccine. Everything's just, you know what, Cheyenne? Look, first of all, Cheyenne believes that if you literally have an amputation, that you are whining, okay? Now, granted, I'm going to throw somebody under the bus real quick. She was taking care of somebody the other day who she took to a fancy restaurant. I was like, ooh la la, wow, you're living it up during this whole COVID thing. And then she's like, no, I'm getting a takeout. I was like, oh, wow. And then she told me who she was getting takeout for and that she wasn't getting takeout for herself and that the person was bitching in the car because they didn't have a fork to eat it. And my mind was blown. I was like, oh, my goodness. There are more princesses that you know than I know. Anyways, okay, so if you guys want to look, if you want to call in, I'll put it up one more time. I know that I missed a bunch, and I'll get to them tomorrow. I'll check in with them. But yeah, see, there she goes. Cheyenne's all pissy now. I took my 401k out before I turned 59 and a half. Since it's not earned income, taxable income will not trigger a CDR. Dime Daryl, I don't know. Maybe that might trigger a CDR because you have earnings I don't know. I'd have to look it up. Email me on that one. I'll have to look up the statute on it. Okay, so here we go. Hi, this is Attorney Walter Knott. We are live on YouTube. Remember to use a fake name. Also, would you like me to answer a specific question, or would you like me to run hearing questions with you?
Actually, a specific question, and this is Jessica.
Perfect. How can I help you?
Okay. I've been unemployed since 2016 for illness, and my hubby does work. We rent, don't own a home or anything.
Okay.
He did have to get a Dodge Caravan, a new one, to be able to haul me around in. Basically, I can't get into the small vehicles.
Sure.
If when I apply for Social Security disability, if they approve, does that mean that we have to get rid of the van, or are we allowed to keep it?
So, okay, you're allowed to have a van. He's allowed to have a van. But remember, if he has more than one vehicle, then they apply. Wait, is he going to go on SSDI or SSI?
It would be me. It would be SSDI, and he has a smart car. He's normal. He's not disabled. So he takes a smart car back and forth to work, and then in order to haul me around, he's got to use the van. So will they make us get rid of one or more, of the vehicles, or?
So here's
I'm just worried about the.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Since you're SSDI, and I mean, is he going on SSI or no?
No.
Okay.
He's working. He's normal. Yeah.
Okay. So there's no limit on how many cars you can own with SSDI. So basically, you don't have to give up the van. You could have an entire fleet of vans. Not that you should, but yeah, you can have as many Rolls Royces as you want. Just invite me to the pool party because I don't get out much. So yeah.
I wish I could. Would you have a problem with running some questions?
No, yeah,
by
that's
me,
fine.
or is it either or?
No, that's fine. I did 2 hearings today, so I'm a little bit tired and burnt out from the whole vaccine thing as well. But let me.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I'm sure Cheyenne, who's my assistant on here, will be making fun of me shortly. But I will give you questions. Do you want me to go hard on you, or do you want me to do this as a helpful learning experience thingy?
Hit me.
Okay. That's okay, buddy. Remember to use a fake name.
I need all the help I can get.
Okay. Madam, go ahead and state your full name, your full fake name for the record.
Jessica Anderson.
Current age and date of birth.
49, December 30th, 1970.
Help me out with this. What are your top 5 most severe impairments, starting with your most severe impairment?
Severe lower back pain, severe knee pain, debilitating migraines, severe RA, and uncontrolled diabetes.
Okay. Help me out with this. Do you have any ambulatory limitations, and how far can you walk?
God, yes. I can walk maybe 20 to 25 feet.
Okay. Do you use any crutches, walkers, wheelchairs, rollators, anything like that?
Yes. 4-prong cane, a walker with a seat, and a shower chair.
Very good. Very good. Very good. Okay, let me ask you this. So you can walk about 25 feet. So you're able to get the mail, correct?
No.
Why not?
It's we live in an apartment, and we have a box at the beginning of the subdivision that you've got to go to.
So who gets the mail?
My husband.
Okay. And do you live on the first floor or the second floor?
First floor.
Okay, first floor. How many pets do you have?
I don't. That's why we live here. I couldn't climb steps at the last place that we lived, and I only had one there. I just couldn't climb it. So we had to find a place that was just flat and level, and thank God this one is. That's why we rent.
Gotcha. So you have to have a flat and level surface. You have a van, correct?
I do, and that is incredibly hard to get into, but it's a little higher than a normal car, so it's easier to get into.
Good. Help me out with this. Walk me through an average day for yourself.
Okay, I'll wake up whenever. There's never a set schedule because I don't sleep right. severe obstructive sleep apnea. I wake up, and there's some days I can get out of bed, and there's some days I just can't. The most I can do is kind of toss and turn. When I do have a good day and I can come into the living room, it's about 20 to 25 feet. That's the complete distance of my apartment. Sit down in the recliner, and about 15 to 20 minutes after that, I got to change positions. It's reclining back or leaning forward, or just I have to change positions every 15 or 20 minutes. Yeah, lots and lots of accidents all day long. Not able to make it to the restroom in time. The brain thinks one thing, the body thinks another. It didn't keep up with my brain. Let's see. I basically spend my day waiting for my husband to come home. I can't dress myself. Anything from the waist up, or sorry, from the waist down. I can't dress. Need help using the restroom. Need help taking a shower. I mean, my God, there's not anything that I don't need help with my husband. There's no house chores or just anything.
Okay.
He takes care literally of everything. There's just no energy in my body. There's no, with everything, and I haven't even told you a tenth of what's wrong, but with everything that is wrong in my body, it all works together against me to not accomplish anything, which is incredibly frustrating because I'm a very strong, independent person who used to be able to do everything. I was the one that took care of everybody else. So this is a tough spot to be in.
What was the last job that you had?
Believe it or not, a truck driver.
Okay. As a truck driver, were you doing full semis?
Yes, sir.
Over the road?
Yes.
And how long did you do that job?
Did it for 15 years. Planned on retiring. Edit.
Okay. Okay. 15 years. All right. Talk to me about limitations when it comes to, well, no, give me a timeline. When did things become severe for you?
About 2016.
When did you stop working?
2016.
And what happened in 2016 to make everything change?
It just got to the point where I couldn't even pull myself up in the truck anymore. I tore a rotator cuff in my shoulder trying to pull myself up into the truck. My husband would be down below me trying to help push me up into the truck. I couldn't slide my tandems anymore, couldn't shut my back doors anymore. If my company knew half the things my husband did to help me keep that job, I probably would have been terminated.
So do you have any limitations when it comes to buttoning buttons, zippering zippers, tying shoes, stuff like that?
It's difficult. It's very difficult. Shoes is a no-go. Can't even put socks on by myself or undies or anything like that. He has to help me with all of that.
Okay. So what happens? You're sitting there, you have an accident, you have to wait until he comes back?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And where does he work?
Yes, sir. He works about 30 miles away.
Okay. And does he ever come home to catch up with you?
No, he can't. He's on duty for 12 hours a day.
What happens if there's an emergency? What do you do?
If there were an emergency enough for basically to be life or death, I'd have to call 911. Of course, if it were life or death, my husband would try to get away, but he's in a position where he's the only one that is there, and he's actually the one that takes care of everyone else. He's EMT and security, so he's the one that you call when you're hurt.
So he might show up for you. That's right.
Yeah. Right. If it's severe enough, yes, I would call.
Okay. Help me out with this. So it sounds like you've got a lot of issues and limitations. You said 2016 they started, you stopped working. When did you apply for benefits?
The first time in the beginning of 2017.
So why did you get why did you get 2 denials? Why did they say you weren't disabled the first 2 times?
They they just said that there wasn't enough, basically, documentation. When I lost my job, I also lost my health insurance, and I also lived on my truck, so I became homeless all at the same time. Okay. So we were in a minivan and a storage locker. That's what we had at the time. So we basically lived out of the van and went through quite a bit of tough things, and also went from a perfect credit rating to filing for bankruptcy. So we literally lost everything. They did let us keep the van, thank God. And it took up until 2017 to be able to get into an apartment again. My husband was able to finally find work and make enough to be able to get us into an apartment. So that's that.
When were you prescribed the walker?
The walker was, I believe, back in... I fought it for a long time with my doctor, but she finally won. I think it was 2020.
When was the 4-prong cane prescribed?
Just recently.
When was the shower stool prescribed?
Actually, I probably got that first because I couldn't stand up in the showers anymore. I believe 2019.
If you're awake for 16 hours, how many of those hours do you go ahead and use the walker?
In the house, or in the apartment, really, I can't really use it too much. I did until I got the 4-prong because I had no choice. But the 4-prong is a little easier to get to the apartment. But when I had just the walker, that's what I had to use. And if I couldn't get down the hall, that's when a lot of the accidents would happen because it's so bulky that to try to get down the hall to get to the restroom, it would just bang into everything. And then I would have the accidents. So it was very cumbersome in a small apartment.
If you receive the benefits, how would they assist you with your daily activities?
Well, for one, I would be able to start getting any equipment that I would need to. I would be able to start being able to pay for physical therapy to try and get my shoulder from the rotator cuff repair. Maybe get some strength and some what do you call it? Being able to move it more, more function in it. I would be able to get the shots and the numbing or killing, I guess, of the nerves around the knees to be able to not feel the chronic pain that I feel every day. So that maybe I could start walking and exercising and getting some of the weight off. And perhaps, be able to get some help with my back to be able to get all of the testing done, which is incredibly expensive, but get all the testing done to be able to find out what is wrong and if it can be fixed so that I can get my life back.
Are there any surgeries, procedures, or medical treatment at all that have been described by doctors to you that would get you to the point which you could do just over a part-time work job?
No, not at all.
Are there any issues with cooking, cleaning, or doing laundry?
Yes.
Okay.
Quite a bit. Cooking, non-existent. I can't stand up to do it, and if I sit down, I'm too low to be able to do anything at the stove, and I can't do my arms above my shoulders. I've tried it. I've tried to do the dishes, because I'm a clean freak, and I just cannot do it. I do not have the strength, and I do not have the endurance to keep up with it anymore.
Okay. Oh, somebody just donated to the channel. Molo, thank you so much for the donation. The gentleman just donated $19.99, or it could be, I don't know from that name, but thank you so much. All right, now, nice. Madame, yeah, that is super nice. I am going to, at this time now, start to be aggressive towards you and ask you tough questions. Okay. Are you ready?
Okay.
Okay. All right. So do you have a Facebook, Twitter, or LinkedIn account?
Facebook.
Excellent. How many friends do you have on Facebook?
I think 6.
6 friends. Okay.
And I don't know how to use it very well.
Okay. Gotcha. Let me ask you this: what's your favorite show on TV?
I don't really have a favorite show on TV. I listen to a lot of a Christian music station on Spectrum cable. It just plays Christian music. That's just kind of my calming thing.
So how long do you usually go ahead and listen to music for?
Well, half the time I listen to it, and half the time I kind of go out to space, and then I come back and I listen to it. Maybe about an hour at a time, then I'll turn the TV off for a while and then turn it back on. It just depends on how my day's going.
What are some of the obligations that you have throughout the day that you need to take care of?
That I need to take care of, or that I can take care of?
Oh, that you need to, yeah.
That I need to take care of. Just getting up and actually taking a shower every day. That would be wonderful. I don't get to do that. I get to do that maybe 3 times a week if I'm lucky. And I know that sounds absolutely disgusting, but that's the world I live in. You can't do it by yourself, and you can't, when someone's gone, you're by yourself. That's where you're at. I would love to be able to not have accidents every time I turn around. I'd love to be able to have a friend to talk to. I'd love to be able to cook dinner for my husband. I've just lost it all. There's just nothing in my life.
Do you have any children?
No, sir. I was never blessed.
In the very beginning of the communication that we've had, you stated that you used to do everything for everybody. So who's everybody?
Mm-hmm. I have a mentally handicapped sister. She's been mentally handicapped since birth. I'm actually her legal guardian, but I can't actually do anything for her. But I do make sure that she doesn't hurt herself or anything. My husband is actually her caretaker as well. My mother was unfortunately disabled. She had CHF, diabetes, end-stage renal failure, all that good stuff. So I took care of her and also drove a truck. I paid for all of her care. That's why I was out over the road. And my father, he passed away with leukemia. I took care of him until he passed. I've been a person with a big heart that cared about people, and I'm a fighter. I will fight for people and whatever they need. My mom, from the time we filed for Social Security disability for her, it only took 3 months and she was on it. And I know that I've heard you talk that that's a horrible thing to do without a lawyer. But back then we didn't know not to approach such things without a lawyer. But I'm just kind of tenacious. Okay. But I've lost a lot of that tenacity. Don't have a whole lot of fight left, but I'm still kicking.
There you go. Very good. Can you explain to me why you believe the SSA doctors felt that you were not disabled?
I really do believe it was not enough documentation from my medical providers. When I had insurance, I was able to go whenever I needed to go, which wasn't really much because my family didn't believe in it. They didn't believe in doctors. I'm sort of a survivor of a cult. Don't really like to admit that, but it's true. I'm away from all those kind of people. So, doctors were out. But when I was able to get older and get away from all that, I went to the doctors and did what I had to do. And then when I lost my insurance, I flat out had one of them tell me at physical therapy that unless I could pay $150 cash for each visit, I wouldn't be able to come back. Mm-hmm. And when you're unemployed, how do you pay $150 cash for each PT visit? So you don't have a choice. You can't go back if you can't pay. And when it forced me into bankruptcy, I thought the responsible thing to do after filing for bankruptcy and losing everything was to not create bills I couldn't pay for. And so that left a lot of doctors out. And unfortunately, I didn't know any better back then, that you go to them whether you make bills or not. And that's just what you do in order to get documentation. I didn't know that. I do now.
So I can tell you're highly practiced. I'm just curious, how many hours of my videos have you watched?
Oh, sweetheart, I've watched all 50.
Okay.
All 50 of the, questions that they've asked for.
Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, because I was going to say, you are highly practiced. You're very good with your story. You seem very direct, but at the same point, you seem very approachable. Okay. I'd have to look at the medical evidence to know what little issues you're going to run into. The only thing that I'm a little worried about is the weakness that I saw. And I know there's other people that want to call in, but I wanted to attack specifically the testimony you gave pertaining to sitting for an hour and then changing television, going to, the radio, etc., as to your ability to do sedentary work. So I wanted to go into that angle. That was going to be my next kind of aggression there. Remember, when you're talking about sitting, to talk about how you have to shift positions due to the back, neck, etc. pain.
Yes.
Perfect. Other than that, Madame, do you have any other questions for me?
No, I thank you so much for you spending time on. I mean, you're very giving. You're doing this to help people. You don't make a dime off of it, and it's such a sacrifice for you, in your personal life. A sacrifice to that, and thank you. I mean, you are loved by people on here, whether you know it or not, and we do very much appreciate every single moment that you spend on here. So I just want to make sure that you know that.
I really, really appreciate it. Molo just donated another $25, which I really, really appreciate as well. Just so you guys know, a lot of the funds that you donate go directly to basically, literally, they go to Shadow and Sweetie with dog treats and dog toys. And a little bit goes to my student loans. So that's absolutely amazing. It helps kind of, it helps spoil the dogs. I'll say that. Indeed. And you did a very good job. And I want to tell you that the best indicator of a claimant that I ever have is that while I'm holding Shadow in my lap, he takes a nap, and he fell asleep right away with you.
Oh, goodness.
Indeed. So you did very well.
That's awesome.
I think you're going to do exceptionally well. Make sure, now when is your hearing?
I actually am having to refile. I have been denied so many times and gone before the judge and appealed the judge and all that good stuff, and now I'm having to totally refile. So I will be doing that again shortly, but I have a feeling that now that I know I need an attorney, we will do well.
So this is my recommendation. If you can put together a little chunk file, of all your medical records. So you've already been to the judge a couple of times, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So and AMS just donated $2.99, which I really appreciate as well. Thank you guys for donating. And also, guys, please keep in mind we do have a $25 winner at the end of this from the people who called in, and because I'm an idiot who didn't put the phone app on my phone on. You're the first caller. We're going to have to take another caller, but you might be the $25 winner. So I'm just giving you a heads up. Yeah. So, but if you get a chance, send me what's called the exhibit list disc. And that's basically the disc that they use at the hearing level, which has all of your medical documentation in it. And if I get a chance, it's one of those cases, if I get a chance, because things are super busy right now and it's just hearing. But if I get a chance, I'll look at it real quick and see where the problems are, because your claim is going to have a hard time with the new 1.0s. And that's exactly what your claim is going to fall into for the most severe impairment aspect of the 5-step sequential process analysis. So just shoot me an email if you get a chance or anything like that, and we'll kind of catch up from there.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have anything for all the current documentation with my doctors. So none of that went before any of the judges. So all of this new documentation for everything that's gone wrong will be a part of the new filing.
Excellent. And
Okay.
you got to be a sleep problem person too. So just make sure you get a sleep study in there because I use those a lot. Okay, good.
Yeah,
good.
I definitely do have that.
Excellent, excellent, excellent.
So,
well, Madame, I will catch you later. Have a wonderful night. And say hi to your husband and please thank him for all his service because people don't appreciate what they do. And what they do, there's a lot of learning that goes involved with that job.
Yes.
People don't realize that.
And
like,
yeah, that's a 12-hour-a-day job. Then he has an hour commute going and coming. And then he comes home and takes care of both of us on a full-time basis. So
yeah,
he is my angel.
Excellent.
He is my angel.
Madame, please give him my best. You have a wonderful night, and I'll catch up with you guys at some point in the future.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, guys, so I'm going to take one more caller, and I just want to thank Molo again. I wanted to thank AMS specifically for the donation. I really appreciate it because I use these funds to basically get dog treats, and which turn this little monster right here. I'll show you. He's too adorable. Which turns this little shadow into and you can't see it, but he's chubby. He's very chubby and adorable, and it makes him chubbier, and he loves that. I know. He's a good kisser, too. So, anyways, guys, thank you so much for that. I'm going to take one more phone call. I'll put the phone number up real quick. I know a couple of people were calling in while I was on the phone there. I'm going to go ahead and put the phone number up. One more phone call, and then I've got to go to the USPS. And let's see what we got here. I mean, I could call Cheyenne if you guys want. If you guys, so I'll take whoever calls in first. If nobody calls within the next couple of minutes, then basically I'll just go ahead and I can call Cheyenne real quick. We'll get an update from her and then go from there. We did. Hold on. Let's see what we got here. Oh, okay. Yeah. So I can always. I've talked with him before, though. All right, let me do this, guys. Essentially, I'm going to go ahead, call Cheyenne real quick, give you guys a little check-in with how she's doing and how her show is doing. Let me find her on here real quick. Oh, wait, hold on. We're getting a call right now. Let's see what we got here. Oh, no, hold on. I hit the wrong button. Let me see. Hold on. Let me just get this to call right through. Then we should be good to go. And then we can talk about, and if you guys could, well, I guess we can't do the voting yet because I have to do this call. But hi, this is Attorney Walter Knott. We are live on YouTube. Would you like me to go ahead and answer a question, or would you like me to run hearing questions with you?
Hearing questions, please.
Perfect, good sir. Okay. And let me ask you this. Do you want me to go ahead and go through in a very light way? Do you want me to ask you some trick questions? How do you want me to approach it?
Good question.
Okay, cool. All right. Good, sir. What is your...
nervous about that.
Okay, good. Good, sir. What is your fake name for the record?
Sue.
Sue. Excellent. Now, let me ask you this. What are your top 5 most severe impairments?
Shaking, ataxia, my vision, I can't see past 3 feet well, and I don't walk well.
Okay, gotcha. So talk to me about the vision. What's your current eyesight?
My current eyesight is legally blind. I have strabismus. That's where one eye is crooked.
Okay. Tell me, give me a timeline. When did your eyesight start to go downhill? What happened? Give me a timeline of it.
Immediately after the accident.
Okay. And what was the accident? Walk me through that.
The accident, I was on a motorcycle and got hit by a car.
Ugh, very, very tough accident. So help me out. What year were you hit by this car?
2004.
2004. When did you? Now, have you already been found disabled, or are you currently waiting to be found disabled?
I'm currently disabled, but I'd like to help friends that are going through the process.
Sure.
And are curious about what questions to expect.
Now, when you were applying for disability benefits and you were found disabled, can you tell me what was the main reason that they found you disabled?
Because of my walking unstable and sleep.
Okay. And tell me this: when it comes to walking, do you use any ambulatory devices, and how far can you walk?
Yes.
Okay.
I use a walker with a seat.
Okay. And why don't you use something, for example, like a motorized walker, or rather a motorized cart?
Because of my vision.
Okay.
My vision, I'll run into stuff.
Okay.
And innocent bystanders.
Gotcha. And can you tell me this? What are techniques that you used to keep yourself, even with the walker, on the walkway or around the house?
A seeing stick, like a blind man uses.
Okay. And let me ask you this. Is the eyesight getting better? Is it getting worse?
It's the same.
The same. Okay. And there's no corrective surgery that they can give to you?
No.
Okay. And help me out with this. You've been going through this for quite some time. Have you had any surgeries over the past 3 years?
Yes. Yes, I've had several.
What kind of surgeries did you have?
Nystagmus surgery on my eyes, and they don't help. It further impairs me with rehab time lost.
Okay. Are you currently getting rehab at a facility?
No, I'm done with that. It doesn't help.
Okay. Why didn't it help?
It was too. The rehab facilities are basically for the just out of a hospital patient. Me, I'm 20 years out, 15 years out, and it doesn't really help me because I'm set in my ways. I'm stubborn. I can't teach nobody new tricks type of thing.
Okay. Let me ask you this: is there any job that you might be able to be employed at? Are you doing any side work?
No, absolutely not. I'm not able to leave my room safely.
Do you live alone or with other people?
I live with my family, my mom.
Okay. How old is your mother?
75, I think.
Okay, so she's not able to do a lot of stuff around the house, correct?
No.
Okay. So you don't live with anybody else?
I live with my useless brother and my aunt's also 78, maybe.
Do you pay any rent to be able to live there?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Most of my governmental income goes to rent.
Can you tell me what? Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, good sir.
Yeah, and paying rent and various other materials that I need, deodorant and toothpaste and all that jazz. Grooming. And
help me out with this. And here's the thing. I want to go in. I was going to go into what orthopedic attire do you use? Why don't you have special shoes or braces specifically for them? The buttoning, button zippering, zippers. Well, obviously you can dress yourself.
Yeah, that's fine.
But here's the thing. I'd rather use this time as an example for those who are in vehicular, accidents.
Yes. Please.
Let's do this. You tell me what it was like directly after the vehicular accident where you were hit. What happened? What do you remember? And what ultimately, came of it a month, 6 months, a year after you were hit by that vehicle?
I wish I could be more helpful. I'm sorry, I don't remember. I can't remember more than a day ago. More than a day ago. It becomes very foggy.
Do people try to bring?
Sorry.
No, it's okay. Do people try to bring you photos and show you specifically what happened?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And this is what I know. A car hit me. I was riding a motorcycle. Yes, a car. 1100 and I was weaving in and out of shops, doing unsafe maneuvers, and that's when I was hit by someone who didn't see me. And from then on, that was like my birthday. I don't remember anything before that. And my life started on the day I woke up in the hospital, and I have a hard time remembering that.
How many days were you out? Was it only 1 day or more?
No, 3 months.
3 months. Okay. When you woke up, do you remember anything at all about the, what people were telling you or what happened?
Yeah, I remember hearing that I was a reckless driver on a motorcycle, and I should have known better, and I got what I asked for.
And tell me this, why did they believe you were a reckless driver?
Because they had innocent bystanders witness report.
Okay, understood. How did that make you feel when they told you that?
I felt responsible completely. I have nothing against the person who hit me because it was my fault. I drove him hit fast, and it's my fault 100%. And I am grateful for this wonderful country who's given me help I did not deserve, but I paid in so many years, and I'm receiving assistance now.
Understood.
I love this country. I'm a little leery of Biden. Biden's kind of worrying me whether he's going to support that disabled community or not.
No, I understand that. I really do. And I think he will. There's little things here and there, but I think he will. Good, sir. You have a wonderful, wonderful night. Thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing,
I thank you for all your help to the disabled community.
Thank you, good sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Have a wonderful night. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Ugh. That's tough. That is very tough. I mean, imagine waking up and having blame put on your shoulders for a life-changing event that wiped your memory, made you unable to walk or ride the same motorcycle or, two-wheeled or wheeled vehicle that you were so accustomed to using. That's incredibly tough. I know that people have been requesting that I call somebody else. Here is that person. So let's see if she picks up.
Hello.
Hi, troublemaker. How are you?
I'm a troublemaker.
That phone just went super robot on that. But can you tell me, let me ask you this. How many subscribers do you have on your channel?
I believe 32.
That is really good.
I was talking about the 326 views was for your MLK video that you were saying nobody watched. That was not the view amount.
I totally screwed that up. I'm sorry. I still feel like not enough people watch that.
To you,
I'm so sorry. Well, no, because my bigger videos get 15,000 views or whatever, but I just felt they do. But here's the thing, that MLK video was important to me because I really liked that speech. Some of his other speeches were okay, but that was the big speech of it. That was his Einstein moment. That was his big moment. His other stuff was not as good. And, but anyways, so then help me out here. How many views, and I'm doing this to give you a little bit of crap. Just understand that. How many views did you get? Because I'm doing this on purpose to punish you because somebody named Cheyenne, I'm not going to name names. Somebody named